Hello.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you? Sorry, this is super bright. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I miss you so much.
I miss you too. It's been so long.
I know. Oh my God. How's everything with you?
Good, good. How are you?
Wallahi, alhamdulillah, I am so excited to have this podcast with you and to
Hmm.
start and to discuss the beautiful topic we're going to be talking about today
Yes,
and basically share all of your wisdom with us.
I'm excited. Yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know, we have Dr. Nahla Sarraj. She is a psychiatry resident and she loves to volunteer, which is what makes her special, even during her residency. And her latest volunteering opportunity was in Syria, actually. And she is from Syria, and we're both from the same city. We're from Hama.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
went to Hama, Idlib, Sham, and Halab, correct? Did you go to
Yes,
Halab?
yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And she volunteered over there. She took a lot of videos. She shared a lot of inspiration. And
Yeah.
from what I've been hearing, especially from your sister over here, she told me that this last trip to Syria, it inspired you and changed you in a very different way than all of your
Hmm.
other trips.
Yeah.
I would like to know the details about it and what made you go in the first place to say I'm
Yeah.
gonna help them. Yes, it's a
Well, I
lot
mean,
of questions, but we're definitely here to listen up.
yeah. I think we all know why I went. I mean, all of us were able to return after many, many years. For me, it had been 17 years. Similarly, like my siblings, my family, many of us haven't been home for at least 15, to 17 years. So it's been a very long time. That's what prompted us to go. The last 2 years, obviously, we know that there has been so much happening in the world. And
Oh yeah.
obviously, prior to that, all of the atrocities that were happening in Syria. So it was always something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to go to Syria. I definitely wanted to go and use my skills and capacities as a psychiatry resident there. It just never worked out for me. But this time it did. So I was going as a vacation, like to go home for the first time. But of course, like I didn't want to just do that. I wanted to go home and contribute and use my skills and my knowledge and things like that. So I arranged with my trip home to go with SEMA to go do some like hospital visits, volunteer, and a bunch of different places, but predominantly with newborn babies. But also not just to look at the healthcare infrastructure, but just in general to bear witness to what had happened in places in Syria that I don't think many of us will understand unless we actually go and physically see it. Like we can see the videos and the photos, um, and think that we've seen it, but it was very, very different actually being in places like Joba, for example, or being in places like on the outskirts of Damascus that have been completely demolished. Like bearing witness to that will change you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that a lot of people who go over there, to Syria specifically, there's
Yeah.
we have two tours, like the tour of Syria, Al-Malki, Abu Rumane, the nice, restaurants. And then the
Yeah.
other tour is like Isma Damar, Syria, which is basically everything that was demolished in Syria. And that you can guess which one's gonna change you. It's obviously
Yeah.
gonna be the second one.
Yeah.
When I remember that when I went to Syria a few years ago, and we were going to Hama, so we went Sham, Homs, Hama, and then
Hmm.
when we were on the way, we were specifically in Homs, and I saw the buildings. They were literally like just like books, like open books, but they were all
Hmm.
like falling on top of each other. It's just like an open book, and the only thought that came to my mind was like, most of these people are in Germany right now, or like in some other, place
Yeah.
where they took refugees. It can be
Yeah.
Turkey or anywhere else. And or some of them are dead, or as we discovered like recently,
Yeah.
it was basically the people who were put in prison in Slednaya.
Hmm.
So I do have a question. A lot of people are saying that we should speak Arabic, speak Arabic.
Yeah.
So I know that you don't want to completely speak Arabic, بس شو رأيك لو أنا مثلا حكيت عربي وأنتي تردي بالإنجلش? How about that? Would it
That's
be
totally
half and half? Is
fine.
that fine?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. لأنه حرام حاسة في عالم بدهم يفهموا وما عم تزبط. طيب.
Yeah.
فبتذكر وقت رحت على طريق كنت رايحة على حما، فوصلت على الحمص.
Mhm.
المباني كلها مهدودة هد فوق بعض، يعني بتشبه الكتاب المفتوح. it was so، يعني أنا عم بطلع على المنظر عم بقول يعني العالم وينهم، أول شيء أهاليهم، كمية الهدم، كمية الدمار.
Mhm.
مثل ما قلتي it really changes you. and
Yeah. Yeah.
يعني they say a well-rounded person is a person who travels a lot, but in my opinion, it's the person who experiences a lot of different emotions of like, oh wow، مثلا العجائب السبعة بالدنيا، بس نفس الوقت الدمار والفقر
Yeah.
والأشياء يعني اللي عم بتصير.
Yeah.
The other question is you went with سيما. So
Mhm.
احكي لنا أكثر، شو هي سيما، وين تعرفتي عليها، ويعني what made you trust it إنك تشتغلي معها؟
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say like maybe three max organizations that I 100% trust because I know the people who work in it and I know exactly where the money goes, that people are donating and contributing. Seema I had known for a long time. We connected virtually. Like I know that they have been doing trips to Syria even before the liberation of Syria. They were doing trips frequently, especially to Idlib and to other areas, and they were fundraising all the time for hospitals, for newborns. Like they have been very active and just incredible, honestly. Like they just don't stop. They just don't stop helping people. I really enjoyed the people who work there. Like they've just been so lovely and have been very accommodating with me as well, being able to work around my schedule and being able to host me when I was there and get me to all the places that we went to. So if you can imagine, every day we were at multiple hospitals, not just one. Like one day in Damascus, we would have visited 3 or 4 different sites, not just one. And then
Oh,
from there, we would go to, like you said, like on the way to certain cities, you would stop in Idlib, or you would go all the way to Idlib, and on the way back, you'd go to Homs and Hama. And then Halab is like another trip. So it was days of us just go, 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 go. Um, and I trust them because I saw what they do. I went to the hospitals and places that told us if we didn't have SEMA, we wouldn't be operating right now. If we didn't
oh
have
wow.
SEMA, we would not be functioning right now.
Wow.
The government has no funding for healthcare, right? We know that there's no money in the government right now. And that makes total sense to us as Syrians because we know that our government never cared about that or even contributed
Obviously.
to it, and in fact contributed to the destruction of our hospitals and the destruction of our healthcare infrastructure and the murdering of our healthcare workers. So we don't have that set up yet, so it's our duty to contribute and donate to it and support it and fund it because that's the bare minimum that we can do for our people, genuinely, at this point, bare minimum.
اوكي. طب وانتي وقت
Yeah.
رحتي لهنيك and فتي على المستشفى الأولية اللي هن أخدوك عليه، like let's say like the first hospital they actually took you in.
Yeah, let me try to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how was Nahla? How was Nahla seeing the world at that point? Like what was the first thought that actually crossed your mind when you saw
Yeah,
that view in front of you, whatever it was? Can you describe it to us?
I might not be able to remember the first, but when you ask me that question, the one I remember the most is the hospital that was operated underground in Hota. And there's actually an
بالغوطة.
entire, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
there's an
Okay.
entire documentary about this hospital that was called the Kehf Hospital, because it was underground, right? They operated in the basement floor of the hospital for years, for years on,
Wow.
and I don't know how many years. And the regime had bombed them so many times, and they would rebuild it again and continue, and then rebuild it and continue, rebuild and continue, and even like had chemical weapon attacks outside of the hospital, and you could see the damage till now. Like even till now, you could see like exactly where they struck, and the doctors would show us like there was a bomb there and there was a bomb there, and just like where I can remember walking through the hallway because I had seen the documentary, I watched it, and it was brutal to watch, like genuinely brutal to sit there and watch these doctors barely have food, right? Because they're besieged. You can imagine the entire city is besieged. They can't get food, they can't get water, they have no electricity, they're barely running off the generators. And there's kids coming in that can't breathe, there's gunshot wounds, there's bomb victims. Like like seeing the film and then being in the hospital was like goosebumps on your body, frankly. Like you're like, oh my God, I can imagine what happened in this room. I can imagine what happened in this hospital. Um, yeah, definitely,
How
definitely
was
really like,
Nahla?
very like in those moments, I'm sure that there were tears at times. I'm sure that it was just very emotional. Um, yeah, I'm sure that it was tearful. I can remember being just speechless. Like I wasn't talking very much. Like I would just walk around and look and like listen and take in all the information that they were sharing with us. But yeah, very emotional.
You know, I've actually heard stories about people, about doctors, like their elderly doctors, who actually volunteered in one of those caves, or I don't know if it was the same one exactly.
Yeah,
And they were like, Farah, it was a complete hospital out there. Like there were many beds. It's not just like a one, two, three, four, five patient situation.
no,
There were like multiple people over there, and they were all like, being treated by doctors as if it's a normal hospital.
not just that. There were hospitals that were communicating with underground tunnels. There were entire tunnels built underground that had ambulances or ambulance only sorry, tunnels that would transport patients from one place to another. Between cities that were besieged, the people dug by hand tunnels just to get there, just to eat, to feed their kids, to feed their families. The underground system is very intricate in Syria.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nahla, يعني in that situation, like, I'm so grateful for the people who are like you and the other doctors,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, who've been through it for the past like 10, 12, 13 years. And يعني الحمد لله إنه they exist. الحمد لله there are people who have these tendencies إنه لا بيحبوا يساعدوا غيرهم. بس يعني لما تشوفي هذا الشيء, like how there's always a thin line between like okay الحمد لله this happened, and then the other line اللي بيقول لك إنه like هذا الشعور بيحسسني بالعجز, إنه أنا عم شوف هذا الشيء, أنا عم بزعل, أنا عم بتضايق.
Yeah,
Keeps ما فيني like to lose hope in humanity, like in bad people around me. I feel like يعني it's a
yeah,
very bittersweet mix. The sweet part is the people who help, but the bitter part is like the hurt that came out of all of this on multiple levels, on all levels in the world.
yeah. Honestly, Farah, because of my job, I am so comfortable with trauma and with hurt
Okay.
and with
Okay.
pain. It's not a very uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, while you're there, it's very hard for me to imagine feeling that way. And I would understand why someone would. I'm not saying that you can't, but hard for me to imagine feeling that way when the people that are showing you this have gone through it, have likely, or not likely, were imprisoned, were tortured, were victims of bombings and shootings. And some of the people that were showing us around had been treated in these hospitals, right, for being shot, for being injured, and etc., for being victims of the chemical attacks. How can I be sad? Like you're here, so resilient, and you've been through the worst possible things imaginable, and your goal is to show the world, look how far we've come, look how we survived. This is how we survived. This is what we did to survive, and we did it. We did survive. We succeeded, and we're free now. Like we have our freedom now. We don't have to live like this anymore. They're just so excited to show the world that they just want to tell the world, like, look at us and look at what we've done, and also ask for the support that they deserve, rightfully so. Now, how could I be sad? Like it's very hard for me to do that. In fact, the only thing I thought about is when I'm going to go back.
عن
Like I want to
جد.
go back. I just want to go back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will be going back very, very soon.
Oh my God, inshallah.
Yeah,
طيب. I definitely
yeah.
think, being, as you said, like a psychiatry resident has made you more
Mm-hmm.
resilient in that scenario as well, to not think even these thoughts. Can you tell me more about how your specialty contributed to your volunteering?
I think like the initial contribution is very general. Like I just wanted to go where the need is. So we decided to go to do the campaign with what is needed. So right now it's more the newborns. Maternal care is really poor in Syria right now. There's still a lot of malnourished mothers and malnourished babies, and there's just a lot of kind of issues in that realm that I think we were going to focus more on physical health and mental health, because we all know that that comes first, right? Like I can't start talking to them about their mental health if they're barely getting food, they're barely being able to have safe places to give birth, etc. So we focused on that first, and then I I know in my intention in the future moving forward is to go back and work in mental health. So everywhere that we went in hospitals, I would do the tour and then I would ask like, where is the psychiatry unit? Like, where is the mental health unit? Like, show me where that is. I want to know what that looks like. And they were almost always empty and not used anymore because they have no funding. There's no money. So I would go and I would at least look at it and like just envision it and try to imagine what it would be like for this to be functioning and operating again. And then inshallah, when I go back this time, there are specific centers that do offer mental health services. So I will go to those directly and I will be working or volunteering there and try to support them there as well. So that's kind of what my priority is. What do they need? And let me go help them with what they need. But then if my skills can be used, that's great too.
اوكي اوكي فهمت عليكي.
Yeah.
طيب هلا انت بنزلتك الأخيرة. Tell me about how did you help? What did Nahla do?
Yeah. Not enough. Number one. I don't think
I mean, I don't
I
think
think
it's ever going
everything
to be
that
enough with everything
no.
happening around the world. No one's going to ever do enough. But what you did is just, يعني بالنهاية لا يكلف الله
Yeah.
نفسا إلا وسعها. It was good for you
Yeah.
at that time. So
Yeah.
I
And
feel
now I
like
feel
that's
it's
important for you as well. Like, if empty, like, I want to give you a hug, like, no, it's fine. What you did is fine. But
yeah.
inshallah, يعني, each time you'll contribute, like, more in a different way. Meaningful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's important.
But what I mean is like it really isn't. Like we I think that a lot of Syrians, and rightfully so, should go back home and visit home and enjoy visiting home. Like just
Yeah.
enjoy it. Purely just enjoy it. Have smile for the first time and hug your family members and kiss your grandmothers and all of that. I want that for every Syrian. But I also I just hoped that there would be more involvement from Syrian youth to like go back and say, okay, this is my responsibility, this is my country and my duty. And I owe her everything, even though I didn't live there for that many years. In fact, you owe Syria more because you didn't. You didn't go through what the Syrians went through who lived there. I wish there were more youth that would go there and just start doing something. But I mean, in my small part that I could play, I use my platform. I use whatever attention I can get online to show people. Here's what happened in Syria, to educate individuals, to share about the organizations that I worked with, to gain donations, to give back to the organizations, the hospitals, the clinics. That is the small part that I could play now. Um, but I wish that more people did it. Like if we all did it, imagine how quickly Syria could be like rebuilt.
I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
would be a fast track,
Yeah.
but I want to hear like some details on what you were doing. Like,
Yeah.
were you responsible for the donation center? Were you talking to patients? Were you responsible for the babies,
Yeah.
as you said, in the NICU?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I can tell you. So the details for the first trip that I did was more so using like going and kind of showing individuals the need for what we're like getting donations for. So for example, we would take footage of the a newborn ICU, so the NICU, in places like Idlib and Halab and also in Damascus. We would speak to the nurses there and get stories of children. So I remember interviewing the nurses and I remember doing a really lovely interview with one of the obstetricians and gynecologists who works in Halab, and just getting their stories of like how difficult has it been for you to work here, how have the last few years been, where do you need the most funding and for what, like what are your needs right now, what can the people that are watching this help you with. So that was kind of the priority, and then literally just posting, like sharing as much as I could using my platform on TikTok, on Instagram, as much as I could to just get whatever attention I could on these people and on this cause. I wasn't necessarily, I'm not responsible for donations, but I do have the pages and the links to be able to collect them. And then of course the organizations distribute the money and things like that. Yeah.
I feel like that's amazing ما شاء الله. بس بتعرفي السؤال اللي عندي إياه هو إنه صار في كتير organizations منظمات
Hmm.
بتتبرع وبتنزل وبتساعد سوريا. هلا انا I'm all for diversity and انه البزنسز وتكون multiple وتنعمل. بس بنفس الوقت صراحة شوي يعني بتخربط. I get confused انه like طب هي ولا هي؟ طب هاد ولا هاد؟ طب انه
Yeah.
why this not this? What does this one do that's special that the other one doesn't do? So I know that you have Seema on your profile, and I saw
Yeah.
their follower account and I saw everything, and they seem like they're small and new and upcoming, but there are other people that are more established, and for me, because I know people who work there as well, they are reliable. So I'm not saying which one is better. I'm just
Yeah.
saying there's so many that I don't know. where to give because everyone
Yeah,
wants something, and I know it's gonna help eventually, but no.
yeah.
And how would you choose one? Like what's the criteria?
That's a good question. I don't really go by kind of how long an organization has been around or how many followers or how popular they are. I don't go by that, to be honest, because the organizations that I trust the most are small. They're actually quite small. The organizations are not big. They don't have these huge influencer budgets, and they don't do these huge influencer trips and things like that. And unfortunately, those are the organizations that get the most attention. And then other ones are not trusted as much because people think, like, oh, I don't know you. Like, I haven't seen you before. How do I know that I can trust you? I understand the question, but maybe I'm biased because I know the physicians, I know the people who have created things like SEMA or OSM, which is the organization UOSSM, which exists in Canada, in the United States, and in Jordan. Um, I know them personally. I know the founders. I'm lucky to have that connection to them, and that trust is already built. So I know that I can trust that organization. I would just tell people in a general sense, very, very big organizations do not mean that they're more trustworthy. And I've learned that the hard way because I've worked with them before, and it doesn't automatically mean that.
Okay.
No,
Okay, I
yeah,
feel like that's a fair answer. يعني أنا مثلا I'm thinking about it إنه مثلا نحن شفتي where we live like برا مثلا I'm in
yeah,
America.
yeah,
I think the solution for me would be instead of like donating, a whole amount to one organization, it would be like basically splitting it in half or in quarters to be like able to go to the different multiple people who can do different things in different cities.
yeah,
يعني I think هيك like كوحدة برانية that's like the best solution for me. فهمتي؟
yeah, yeah. That works. That works. And you're Syrian as well, so
Yes.
also having gone to Syria, I recognized how crucial it was just to use your money in Syria, just to circulate money there and get the economy going. So and with the intention of, obviously, I don't want people to like go and overspend and do silly things. I'm not suggesting that, or like be like a big consumer or whatever. But I think also when you're there is be intentional. Like, you can buy the things that you want to give people in Syria. You can buy the products within Syria. You can support the economy there and still do the things that you were going to do, like, rather than buy your items in Canada or America and support an economy that isn't serving you anyways. Go and support the economy there. So I was very intentional now, this time especially, to not pack all these like big gifts and things like that from home, and just buy them there, buy them in Syria, and support the economy there and the people there. And then, yeah, just get the economy going. Visit Syria, go home as well.
Yeah. I think the thing is إنه حتى أنا وقت كنت like بسوريا من زمان إنه we always think إنه الأجنبي هو أحسن you know
Mm,
like that's the better one that's the better
yeah,
whatever إنه
yeah,
يعني a part of me like I remember like لما سوريا تحررت خلص على الأخير صاروا العالم يقولوا أول شيء فوتوه like دغري was like البرودكتس الأجنبية. I remember like everyone went to the supermarkets and they're just taking videos and they're like oh my god look ما عاد في إنه سوبر أشياء إنه سورية صارت الأشياء الإنتاج الأجنبي. And
mm,
I was like it was again such a bittersweet moment because يعني إنه I was in Syria like literally last year before school
yeah,
took on before everything I went for the summer. وصراحة يعني نهلة الأشياء اللي عملوها at least أنا كنت بالشام يعني الأشياء اللي عملوها it made me so proud. I was like finally a self-sustaining country. ما أنا
hmm,
بحاجة والله منتج من برا مدري شو هو منتج من هذا مدري شو هو. طبعا كل شيء بالدنيا له أبعاده وله يعني أشياءه بس إنه يعني فهمت يعني what makes a country like so strong. فهمتي? Honestly, like I swear this is becoming so political. It's like what makes a country so strong? Like from a simple point of view, from us, the
mm,
fact that you're self-sustaining, that you don't need anyone. فهمتي
hmm,
يعني? Like
yeah,
I remember they were like making all of like غير الخضرة وغير الفواكه عم يعملوا peanut butter عم يعملوا معلبات عم يعملوا ketchup عم يعملوا like all of the
yeah,
tiny details كانوا عم
hmm,
يعملوها بسوريا already. فهمتي؟ So
hmm,
they didn't need anyone من برا سوريا.
yeah,
And in a weird, bitter way, again, I always say bittersweet because it's not like يعني كان وقتها بالشهر الأسد هنيك so it was a very beautiful at the time.
yeah,
بس إنه الحلو إنه كانت سوريا مكتفية بحالها. فهمتي علي؟
hmm,
وإنه لما تحررت إنه يلا خلص كل شيء إنتاج أجنبي إجا. which is
Yeah,
nice ويمكن هو أطيب ويمكن هو أحسن بس إنه كمان مشان يقبل on an economic level
yeah,
like you should actually have the Syrian point of view,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, it's a political, conversation, of course, and your opinion is valid. It's true. I wish that weren't the case. This is the case everywhere in the world, right? The ultimate, I mean, I feel like all roads lead to an Americanized country. No matter what you do, it ends up becoming more Americanized. You get more American businesses and institutions and hotels and foods, and unfortunately everywhere that's the case, not just in the Middle East. I wish that wasn't, but yeah, it's the truth. However, I do want to say, like, going to Syria and visiting and actually like shopping, and I shopped a lot and I went out a lot and I ate out a lot and was constantly out because I didn't want to miss a single moment of my
Yeah.
country. The predominant majority of things are Syrian made still. If that gives you any consolation or gives you any sort of hope, that
I
everything
love
is
how
still
like you're
very,
being my psychiatrist right now, you
yeah,
know?
it's still very much Syrian made, and
Yeah.
people trust Syrian products way more, especially like when they're, made by, traditional kind of Syrian ways, like clothing and cotton
Yeah.
and things like that. So predominantly it's still that, but I do understand what you're saying. The fear looking in the future is like, well, what if we do become kind of similar to other Middle Eastern countries that have become very westernized and
Dependent.
Americanized and,
Yeah.
yeah, and dependent. That fear is very valid. We all have that fear.
Yeah.
There's just nothing that justifies keeping us in the chokehold that we were under economically, politically, socially, and literal chokehold that we were under, in a regime. So I think, with progress comes that
It's
risk.
yeah, like hopefully it works out. طيب,
Yeah,
I need to ask
yeah.
you a very important question.
Hmm.
بعد ما تحررت سوريا, okay, a few months back, several months back.
Hmm.
Has it been a year? It hasn't been a year yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet. No.
The question is, as a psychiatrist, from your point of view, when you saw the people who were in Naya and you heard the stories, like I remember, like for me, everyone around me was like, "We're so happy, alhamdulillah, راح وسقط النظام," and then boom, everyone's like, "Okay, في سجناء," and they're like underground. We have
Yeah.
to save them.
Yeah.
How were you seeing that?
As a crisis. It's not a,
Yeah,
it's a crisis.
yeah.
It's very positive, absolutely, but you look at it and you're like, um, this is going to be, a mental health crisis. It has already been. Um, like, I'm very privileged as well that here, even in Canada where I work with a lot of refugees. I work with a lot of Syrian refugees. And imagining that even those individuals who left years ago, who experienced, years within, under the Assad regime, who experienced the bombing and all these things, who lived in refugee camps, who experienced, the earthquakes in Turkey and Halab, like these are individuals who've been through all of it. The psychological issues in individuals like that are very severe, like really, really severe. Like there's a significant issue amongst, refugees here in Canada, not just Syrians, but I'm just describing like, specifically Syrian refugees. So I can't even begin to imagine that of a prisoner for 13 years, for 20 years, for 25 years, for longer, because there were some that were in there for so long and in isolation. I can't begin to imagine that. I'm literally talking about individuals who are not in prison, for example, right? Who are in refugee camps, who were bombed, et cetera, et cetera. It's a literal crisis that you can imagine, and it won't go away. And those psychological issues remain for decades and decades and decades. And
طيب
probably yeah,
هذا الشيء
yeah.
كيف ممكن ينحل؟ له حل؟ I don't know. يعني أنا I like to be practical. بحب إذا في مشكلة نلاقي لها حل. شو الحل تبع هاي؟
I don't think there's like a solution. I
Yeah.
think there's education, like a reality check for other people, for families, for loved ones, for people who are amongst individuals who are experiencing like the trauma and the psychological impacts of trauma. Like educating them on what that looks like, how to cope, how to manage. In terms of actually seeing a professional, obviously it would be great if everybody had access to mental health professionals and psychiatric medications and hospitals and treatment programs. They don't exist there. In an ideal world, all of these individuals would have access to that, and their families too, because we know that the families of the ones who have been the most traumatized are they're the direct impact of that trauma, right? So they will suffer. They will go through so much with that family member too. It's not like butterflies and roses when they come home. These are people that are very traumatized, who don't know how to behave, who might be violent, aggressive, or have other behavioral issues, and the people who directly are impacted by that are their families, their loved ones. So that would be the ideal solution, I would say, but it doesn't exist right now.
So how can we make how can we have a solution that exists, basically?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is through education materials, through different modalities like video materials or papers, pamphlets, booklets, materials that can be disseminated to people very easily and quickly without needing a professional to tell you that information, like one-on-one, so reaching a wider audience,
Yeah.
or even having sessions at health centers or places where they can have like a primary healthcare center. I know, for example, in Hama, we're very lucky in the city that we're from, there is a primary healthcare center that does run every day, but they have certain days of the week where they are a mental health clinic, and anyone can bring somebody, or you can walk in and refer yourself to the support that they offer there. So going there and possibly seeing if there's resources there, picking that up. And maybe they can also have community events or community education materials that go out to the people based on what they see. So if they see something, a pattern occurring like regularly amongst their patients, say, hey, this is something we've noticed. This is how you can manage it. This is a medication or thing that we can suggest. This is where you can go to get that support. This is what therapy options exist. This is where you might be able to get it. That's the only thing I can think of, is trying to educate the community, and then they will have to access the resource themselves. But
Yeah,
ultimately, Farah,
yeah.
it's not going to be easy to be able to tackle that issue.
I think as many people said, and I read the same comment يعني بكتير محلات إنه it took you 53, 54 years to get rid of the Assad regime,
Yeah.
and it's not going to get better in 6 months. You had patience for, like half a century. You can have a bit more patience to fix what needs to be fixed, basically.
Also, adding to that, there's also a lack of basic needs and necessities in Syria. So there is a hierarchy that a lot of people will not necessarily tap into those psychological issues, or they won't be at the forefront because they don't have food and shelter and electricity and running water and things like that. Like in a lot of Syria, that's still a problem, right? So when those needs are met and individuals are usually in a safe, calm environment, they have all those needs met. Unfortunately, that's when the trauma comes back. When when your body is safe, that's generally when PTSD kicks in, or when those reminders come back, and when that becomes the forefront. So
After
I would
you're
say,
sick,
yeah,
it
yeah,
comes back in.
yeah.
Why? Can you tell me a bit more?
The theory is that when your body is still in the fight or flight mode, because even if it's not in fight or flight for the same reason, right? You're not in fight or flight because you're avoiding persecution. You're in fight or flight because you're surviving a new environment. For example, seeking refuge in Canada or America or Germany or other countries. Your body's in a different kind of stress response and fight or flight response. Um, you might not know where your money's coming from. You might not know how am I going to afford my electricity bill this month? How am I going to feed my kids this month? That's a constant stress running in your body. And these are families, individuals who will have that go on for years. And then when they reach stability, for example, they get an apartment, they're safe, they can afford their food, their electricity, their kids are fed, and their body's like calm and safe. The theory is that at that point, your body can begin to address the trauma that you've been through, and the reminders come back, the flashbacks come back, the nightmares might come up, and mind you, they might come up before that, but it's much more prominent in those times.
So does it come back because, in a sense, يعني, you needed that heightened, let's just say, يعني simply, you needed a lot of stress and a lot of emotions for it to take you from one place to another. And then when it made sure that you reach safely,
Yeah,
that goes away. And now you're allowed to freak out basically about the journey that you've been through.
yeah. Essentially, your body needs you in a certain amount of stress to survive. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it will do anything to survive too. So even if that means repressing for, ignoring, denying things that have happened to you, that repression, pushing back is also a survival mechanism, right? It allows you to keep going. And it will definitely come back. And again, I also know that because I work with them here. I work with them in Canada. So through the resettlement process, after a couple of years in Canada, it's a crisis because they're now safe and they're now like I'm safe. Like, why do I feel like this? Why can't I stop thinking about this? Why can't I sleep? Why am I irritable and angry? And I'm having all these reminders and thoughts, and it's because of that reason.
Nahla, I think the most important question is, do you see yourself going down to Syria and educating people about psychiatry, about what people need in one way or another? In one way or another. Again, not in the same يمكن كيف تقول لك, not in the same way that
Mm,
you do it here in Canada وخلص لازم يكون
mm,
medications ويعمل whatever. Obviously هنيك كل واحد يعني على قدك بدك تعطي. Do you see
mm.
yourself going down there and helping out with your psychiatry point of view?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. My intention is in going now as a resident because I'm still not, done my training, is to go there and absorb as much as I can and learn where the need is. And absolutely, like once I'm an independent practitioner, I have all the freedom to go anywhere I want. But as you know, in Syria, you wouldn't get paid. It's a completely voluntary basis. I know that organizations like the World Health Organization and Doctors Without Borders are starting to take doctors to Syria now. So that's really exciting, actually, because they can pay them. So there will be lots of physicians that you'll see start doing it. And I'll look into it myself too. But the point is that I would go there and I've studied this need. I know what is needed. I probably would more provide direct services to people as much as I can. And of course, if ever anybody wanted me to provide education or training to a larger group of people, I would be happy to, of course. Yeah.
يعني I feel like alhamdulillah and people like you basically exist in the world because maybe you don't feel it right now, but definitely even your small existence like helps make the feel world a better place again in a very simple form basically.
I hope so. Yeah. And I hope that encourages other people to do it too. Because I don't want it to just
You're
be
like ما
a
بدي أشيل كل الحمل, please حدا يساعدني يعني. It's not just me. Well, to make you feel
no.
good, I know a lot of psychologists
Yeah.
or psychiatrists. And they're actually doing like online stuff and they're helping
Ooh.
people. And every week they have
Yes.
a meeting with Syrian people.
I forgot to mention that. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Online care is so accessible. That's such an easy way to offer support in Syria now. That's a really
Yeah.
good way to do it. And
Yeah.
you don't have to be in Syria. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. But they're doing it بيعملوها. I remember I think like almost every Tuesday.
Yeah.
وبيجيبوا العالم كلياتهم اونلاين وبيقعدوا بيحكوا لهم وبيحكوا على السايكولوجي اللي هن الاشياء اللي هلا صايره فيهم وصراحه كتير عالم like they're getting good results.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
if anyone watching this wants to do that, I would really encourage you to look into those. Do you know of any organizations that are offering people to sign up to do this?
I know
Or
people. I
Mhm.
know people. If you want, I can send you their number. I don't know what's the organization they work with,
Yeah,
what it's
well, we
called,
can
but I
figure it
know that
out. We
I
can
know
figure
two
it out.
people who are a part of it, like they work with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
inshallah, I'll give it to you, and then we can put it for anyone who's interested. They can like sign up as
Yes.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, طيب, tell me about a story that when you went there has been told to you, and it basically affected you very deeply and almost changed your life.
So many
That's
stories. Oh my
heavy.
God,
That's
Farah.
heavy.
Like I'm telling you that everywhere that I went, the people that were showing us around each had a story that was terrifying, heartbreaking.
Yeah. What's one that stuck with you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There, in one of the hospitals, no, sorry, it was a clinic. It was a clinic, either Duma or Huta or somewhere in the outskirts of Damascus. Yes, I think it was outskirts of Damascus. We were touring the clinic and looking at all of the different services they offer. And at one point, the clinic started to run. So there was a dentist that was working in one office, and there was, the doctors were coming in, and starting to do their jobs. And we were talking mostly with this one doctor, and he was great. And he was teaching us and all of that. And then I see a doctor walk in and go upstairs to her office, and she's just doing her work in her office. So we're touring, and I went into her room, and I was just like, hi, like introducing myself, and like, what do you do here, and things like that. Um, and she was lovely. Like, she wasn't super preoccupied with us. Like, a lot of times we would walk in because there's cameras and we're all wearing our vests. Like, people are like, we're like, who are you guys? And they're so
Yeah.
curious and they want to talk to us, right? She wasn't particularly interested. And then I walk out of the room, and I remember one of the other nurses or doctors telling me, like, do you know that this woman walks here every single day? She has no car, no one drives her. Probably takes her about, an hour every day to and from her home, to work here for free every day. And I remember her being an internist. I think she's an internal medicine physician of some kind. Um, and just does that every day and sees all these patients every single day, and then just goes home again, walks home, and continues. And they said that she did that throughout the bombing and the besiegement. Like, even when things were not safe and not free, that she was going there every single day, no matter what, with literally no, like, there's nothing that is
Protects her.
not protecting her, exactly, and there's no compensation. She is doing this labor essentially for free. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, yeah, this woman is a hero. And it's always the quiet ones, it's always the ones who are just there to do their job and go home. And I was like, yeah, it's literally like, I'm honored that I even was in her presence, a hero like that. You don't have to have a following or be people recognize you, or none of that, like, she's a true hero. That's the definition of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am speechless.
Yeah.
يعني.
And she's not alone, by the way. Like, most of them don't get paid, and they all show up, and they all do their jobs, and they all see.
But when you ask them, why are you doing this? If you're not even getting paid, and you ask them, like, why are you doing it? What do they tell you?
It's for their people. These are their people, especially certain cities, because they went through so much together. When you hear about certain cities and what they had gone through, in particular, I feel like Jobar was one that keeps coming back to my mind. They had gone through so much, and it's a small city. I remember them telling us like 90% of it was annihilated. So they've all had this similar experience. They all went through these similar things, and they just want to look after each other and take care of each other and keep each other going. Again, anywhere you go, any city, and Ghouta and Douma, and um,
What
they just
about
love it.
Idlib?
Yeah,
What
yeah, and
about?
Idlib too. I mean,
Tell
Idlib
me a
too.
bit more about Idlib. I know that, like,
Yeah,
يعني
yeah.
before ما, the Assad regime just like collapsed, and
Hmm.
you know basically العالم كانوا بإدلب عم يعملوا سياراتهم لحالهم. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And وكان عندهم mall وكان عندهم أشياء. I know that they were like, civilized, developed. فهلا يعني إذا رحنا على إدلب, is it gonna be like, إنه والله شيء مرتب، ولا حنلاقيهم عالم إنه تعبانين مثل مثلا المدن الباقية، كيف كل شيء like it's just destructed, or a bit of both?
To be honest with you, even in the cities that were completely destroyed, like Homs, for example, I also went there. Um, the people are not tired. they're they're so resilient, and they're fighters. They're fighters. They're such fighters, and they just keep going. But Idlib was fascinating. My observation of Idlib, I've never been there before, by the way, so I can't compare it to like to the past. I don't know. But Idlib was a very mixed environment, right? There were some non-Syrians there. There were people from all over Syria there. Like, it was a very mixed pot of people. So I found it like, I didn't understand it, because I know when you're in Hama, like, you see specific people, and when you're in Halab, and when you're in Sham. So it was a bit different for me. But they do have their own camaraderie and their own, yeah, their own, like, their ingenuity too. Like you said, they were doing their own things. They were creating their own things. Their hospitals are marvelous, like absolutely amazing. The services they offered in those hospitals in Idlib are better than in places in Jordan, next door.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, it's very, very modernized and just it's also very it's a big contrast because you come from Damascus and you look around the outskirts and you think these cannot be in the same country. Like what I just saw in Duma cannot be the same country as what I just saw in Idlib, but they are, right? So huge contrast. But yeah, I didn't go like shopping in Idlib or see the buildings in Idlib, but the hospitals certainly were very advanced. So,
And I've heard that many people who even want to go through surgeries, they actually go to Idlib
yeah,
hospital and they do it over
yeah,
there
yeah,
because, better equipment, better labs, cath lab, like anything, it's over there, you know?
yeah. All of it is there. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm very lucky to have seen it too. Like I was able to see all of it. They're huge hospitals and very well operated. And the physicians are incredible. Like those doctors are incredible.
Ya Allah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a part of me feels like, oh my God, we should do a lot more. And now, like, I don't know what we're doing. And but the other part is like, يعني لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Eventually, you're
Yeah.
doing what you can do. I'm doing what
Yeah.
I can do. And
Yeah.
يعني self-compassion is important in this situation as well.
Yes.
Like, like you
Yes.
have to balance it out. Like, you're not going to leave your residency to just go. Like, you have to graduate and know more stuff, have more information and education to be able to
Yeah.
help them fully and completely, مثلا, one day. And yeah, the same goes for all of us.
I agree. I totally agree. I hope that it's motivating that people can see, okay, well, I can't do all of this, but I can do this thing. I just want it to be motivating in some way that we can do our part, like you said. But it's not like I hope it's not a guilt thing. I hope that people are not always feeling guilty. You know, I probably am a hypocrite saying that because I feel very guilty all the time. But I want to make sure people do it out of like you said, self-compassion, but also out of duty. Like this is our duty to the world, to humanity in general, that we don't just live selfishly for ourselves. We also have a world to look after.
I have an interesting point of view, which is Islam in general.
Yeah.
We have two important factors, and one of them is sadaqah, and you obviously know about that one. And the
Yeah.
other one is like zakah, and zakah is actually like it's obligatory
Mm-hmm.
yearly for the people who work and make enough money to have
Mm-hmm.
a bit of zakah.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were like actually doing the Islamic way, like regardless whether we like it or not, when we do the zakah, we get to choose the organizations that we donate to, and we're giving
Mm-hmm.
our money, which is 2.5% of it, to help out these people. So I feel like even if you're not consciously doing these things, but you're subconsciously خلاص انه you're being just a Muslim تعملي صدقة احيانا وزكاة هون وما كتير عم
Yeah.
بتفكري بالاشياء الصغيرة اللي
Yeah.
حواليكي بالدنيا, like you are helping people. And I feel
Yeah.
like عن جد هي نعمة كتير كبيرة من الله انه to allow us to help people even if we're not actively being there on the ground. Oh I do يعني عرفتي عم تعملي open heart surgery لواحد بنص الحلب. Like I don't feel it has to be that crazy. If you do it, bravo عليكي. If you don't, there's like
Yeah.
always other ways to help.
Yeah. Not everybody can do that. And
Yeah,
there is no way that everybody could do that. So
yeah,
yeah, agreed.
yeah.
Agreed. We all do our part.
Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Nahla. I really, really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too.
And you opened up like our eyes a bit about the different parts of Syria that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't actually know about. And thank you for being like our videographer, our influencer, our Syrian person going over there and being like, hey
Yes.
guys, it's a beautiful day, but let me show you a different perspective. This is how we can help the people out.
Yeah, I
Um,
always feel so obnoxious doing my Syria videos, but like I'm gonna keep doing them.
oh my God, I swear, like Anna, when I was seeing your videos, I was like, oh my
Yeah,
God, and يعني, you
yeah.
showed me it from a different angle. And it was
Mm,
important for me to see it that way
yes.
because I didn't necessarily know that it existed. And if I didn't know it existed, then how am I going to help?
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's the
It's an
whole point.
existential issue, يعني, basically. It's very
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
Thank you so
True.
much for that, Anjad.
Yeah.
And if there was like one thing you would tell to two people, which are the people تبع أهل سوريا اللي هلا هنيك already وعم يعملوا الشغل،
Hmm.
وللعالم اللي عم يتفرجوا علينا اللي عم بيفكروا ينزلوا أو إنه بدهم بس ينزلوا ينبسطوا, just like give us some few words of wisdom.
I'll speak to them first, the
Okay.
ones who are outside of Syria. Um, I would encourage you, of course, to always go home. And I do feel like I said earlier, Syrians deserve this moment of joy and deserve this moment of reunion and like just sheer joy. We Syrians deserve that no matter what. I will stand by that. And there's a responsibility that we owe the country that we come from, the country that, made us or made our parents or made our families, whatever it is. There is a duty that is owed. There is a responsibility that is owed beyond just our own joy. And there's also a reality, like you mentioned, but your own concern of like, well, what happens when it becomes more Americanized or American products come in and Syrian products get replaced and we don't become self-sufficient. Well, with that knowledge that you know is a risk that it could possibly happen, what are you doing about it? What are you doing to prevent it from happening? What are you doing to protect and safeguard your country, or to preserve your country? So to everybody out there, we all have our own apprehensions and our own fears about Syria. What are you doing about it? Like, we can't just chit chat all day about it and do nothing productive about it. We all have the means and the ability to do something. So in your own small way or your own big way or whatever way is contribute. Just do something, act upon it. Because I don't want us all to look back 10 years in the future, bury the shut, 10 years in the future and think, oh wow, like, oh yeah, I totally could have seen that happening or coming. Then why didn't you do something? That's for the people that are watching. And for the Syrians in Syria, this might be a hot take, but I want them to rest. Just relax. Like, all I want for them is relief and rest. Like, I had the experience of, like I told you, meeting with people who were the front line, who were digging the tunnels, who were pulling babies out of rubble, who were doing the surgeries. And I was also with the people, like my own family, who weren't doing any of those things, but were every single day of their life for 13 years terrified. Terrified to go outside and get water, terrified to go outside and get food, terrified that their sons would be abducted, terrified that their daughters would be assaulted, stolen, taken. Like, that fear for so many years is looming over them. They just need to rest. Like, what we owe them is for them to just relax. Like, we owe them peace and joy and like safety. So I don't want you to do anything to the Syrians in Syria. I want you to do nothing. Like, I'm talking even to my own family. Like, all I wish for them is peace, and a sense of calm. Yeah, that's what I would say.
That's beautiful. And for your family in Syria, did you feel like, from a psychology point of view, they've been through the war, the people who lived it, yani, from your family, do you
Mm,
feel like they're different before and after it?
of course, of course. Everyone is. The whole country is. I think psychologically, we talked about just the prisoners and like the ones who went through the most trauma. Absolutely, they're the ones that are going to pose probably the largest crisis in Syria. But the psychology of a Syrian person, by default, at a baseline, all of us have paranoia to a certain extent. All of us think twice before we say something to a certain extent. It has been ingrained in us for decades to be fearful, to not trust, to wonder what if this person is, going to spy on me or going to say something about my family or going to tell the government about whatever it was. Like, I feel like it should be studied. The Syrian psychology is at a baseline traumatized and scared and hyper vigilant and always aware of a potential threat. um, like I said, that is the same for the people that were in the front line that were digging out babies, and the same for like my family, for example, the most general population in Syria that was hiding in their home for weeks on end because they could not leave their home because there were soldiers outside for days, for weeks, that would not leave. The same psychology exists there. So yeah, they're forever changed. Um, I don't know if you and I could ever recover from something like that, right? Like, imagine yourself. I don't think I could ever recover from something like that. So yeah, they're definitely forever
I
changed.
mean, definitely, definitely. Yani, since we are from Hama, and
Yeah.
my parents left Hama, what Majzeft Hama, which was like 82, 83.
Hmm.
and they left Hama, and they just left the whole country. Like, they lived somewhere else. Yani, I always found that my dad was definitely afraid of like authority figures. Not
Hmm.
afraid as in like, oh my God, he's gonna cry, but like always like cautious and 10 steps ahead. وإنه في كتير حكي ما بيحكي إذا بده يحكي وخلص ما يعني ما في داعي تفكري فيها. It's okay, he knows it بس ما ضروري يروح يحكي فيها. And I never understood why. And I remember, like, honestly, what's up in Nizam, the first 2, 3 months, I was literally afraid to إنه راح الشات because I was like,
Yep.
oh my God, maybe they're like spying on us somewhere, and like they're gonna like I don't know what they're gonna do. And well,
Yep.
obviously, مثل ما قلتي. And then when I opened like Facebook, I saw the Syrian groups البنات شو عم يحكوا. It's oh wait, it's not just me. It's like everyone else has that fear إنه
Yeah.
هن كمان ما يحكوا.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, نحن بالهوا سوا. Okay, that made me feel better. And obviously now, like, when more months passed by and more trust is coming back, we're like, okay, now we can talk. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're saying is exactly how people felt. Like everybody felt that way. There was still a fear for so long that lingered to even believe it, let alone utter it. Like just believe it that it was true. You're like, oh my God, because the walls are listening and the walls have ears and we're
يا صح
always afraid.
صح.
We all
الحيطان
grew up that way.
الأذنين.
Yeah,
بروح
we
هلا
all
باخدك على بيت خالتك.
we
Yeah, it
all
was
grew up like
terrifying.
that. It's terrifying. Yeah. And the most frustrating thing in my travels more recently to other countries and learning about genocides and traumas and civil wars, et cetera, like all these things in other countries, is in Syria, it was our own people killing us. Or
I
like
know. I know.
it
That's
was the same
unjustifiable.
people,
I agree.
often family members. Like that's how deeply ingrained the trauma is, and it's not common that you see that. It is a unique type of trauma. So that's why I was saying it should be studied because it is incredibly it's so unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would always say يعني إنه بأي بلاد بالعالم إنه other people would attack, like it's just always a foreigner قاعد عم بيقاتل على حدا، عم بيتقاتل مع حدا مشان ياخد شيء. إلا نحن الحمد لله our own president like كان بيزيد كيماوي وبيحرق شعبه وبيحطهم بالمكبس.
Yep.
يعني الحمد لله خلصنا منه and we moved on الله يوفقه للرئيس الجديد. to be honest كل ما بشوفه بقول الله يوفقه لأنه استلم دولة يعني ركام like صفر destruction. He didn't
It
like take
is.
he didn't take it in good condition. No, he's taking it like from below the ground and he's trying, to have it built up again. فالله يوفقه يا رب ويعني ويكتب لنا الخير.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that comes into power now would be taking a zero/below zero country, and it's a very tough thing to take on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nahla, for being with us today.
Thank you,
I
Farah.
truly enjoyed the conversation. وإن شاء الله بعد ما
Yeah.
نشوف بعض in real life.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm glad
Hopefully
my
soon.
childhood friend. It's so fun to be doing
Yes.
this
Oh
with
my
you.
God.
Yeah,
Come visit me. Come visit me. You'll get see me and
I
your
hope
sister.
so. I hope so. Yeah.
Habibti. Yalla, take care and thank you so much for, everyone who attended. I
Yeah.
enjoyed everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.